Welcome to another episode of the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lainey.
And this is a very special week for you personally, Lainey. Something happened this week, Wednesday night,
Yes.
that took the world by storm, but
Yes.
also personally touched you.
The two largest events of 2025
Were, number
have
one,
happened this week.
what happened?
One, Taylor Swift went on her first ever podcast
Huge,
interview.
huge news for you personally.
First ever time
Yeah,
Taylor Swift has done an extended interview on a podcast.
it's unbelievable.
It was
watched
not
it.
ours.
Yeah, what is the second biggest thing that happened this week?
She announced her new album, TS12.
Also very large event for you personally.
Yes.
Personally for you.
Yeah, not just for me. I mean, this is like, there's millions of people that this is one of the best days of their lives.
Yeah, but for you.
Yeah. Why do you keep emphasizing that?
Because
What
I
do you
just think
mean?
it's so funny that like this entire past week, it's been like for you. So it's almost like a gift from Taylor
It was
Swift
personal.
herself.
She
to
wrote
you.
to Lainey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So she announced it like Monday at midnight-ish. There was like a teaser.
At midnight.
Yeah. There was a teaser that she was going on the New Heights
Sure,
podcast.
sure.
And that she was announcing whatever her
Something.
new album was going to
Yeah.
be. And Tuesday, coming into work, it was like nothing could bring me down.
Yeah. Well, Taylor Swift is not just a pop artist that you've come to know and love over the years of your enjoying music. Taylor Swift is also a thread or a tie that keeps you
an
close.
invisible string, so to speak.
That keeps you, there it is. It keeps you close and tethered to our daughters,
yeah.
right? Because they love Taylor Swift as
Yes,
well.
yes.
In fact, we've bonded over the years to Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I mean, people at work, because we work for a church. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know how church people feel about Taylor. But I do catch a lot of flack
Yeah.
for liking Taylor being a Swiftie.
She's got some risque.
Sure. I mean,
Content.
we don't have to agree with every single thing a person does, right?
Sure.
But yeah, I do get a lot of flack. But the one thing that I come back to every time that I'm like, you just don't understand. This is the thing that my daughters and I can bond over.
Yep.
Like, this is the thing.
Yep.
And at this point, I just don't like when you're weighing the negative versus the positive in these
Yeah.
situations. Like right now, the worldliness of Taylor Swift or like whatever we want to criticize her for just doesn't outweigh the fun music and the connection
Yeah,
I have.
and for all of the parents out there that are watching this and completely disagree with what we're saying,
Sure, yeah.
we understand. You have your own
Of course.
way of living life, but we also coach our girls
Yep.
through it. And we talk about
Yep.
things and we listen to edited versions when they come out. It's not like we are
Yes.
promoting the lifestyle that she's living.
You have to do what's best for you and your children.
sure.
I fully believe that. And right now, like, this is what we enjoy
Yeah,
with our children.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that we get to experience that. We actually went to London to see her
Yes.
at Wembley last summer during the
Yes.
Eras tour.
Yes.
We missed out on Tampa tickets. And then we bought the London tickets. There's a whole saga. We
Well,
don't have to go back into
Because
it.
when she came to Tampa, I looked at tickets and
Right.
I was like, I'm not spending $600
Yeah,
for a ticket.
right. Meanwhile, we're flying to London to go see her.
So then I was like, yeah, why don't we
And then we
just
bought
take...
the London tickets, then she announced Miami. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like,
I do remember that.
it's okay. London was great with our kids.
I mean, our girls still talk about it. They talk
so-
about it as being like, that is a core memory.
Yeah.
I'll never regret that.
It was
ever.
awesome. It was awesome. You shouldn't
Yep.
regret it.
So we've got the orange for her today, your orange hat.
Yeah. My orange hat's actually for the Bucks because football season is starting. We're very close. We're so close. And I cannot wait. Go Bucks. And I know that you love football.
Of course.
As well. So
Yeah.
here we are.
And Taylor Swift is now part of the football world.
Exactly.
So it's like,
all coming together. It's all connected.
best
We're
of
all
both
intertwined. This is life that we live now.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
it is. This is a good season.
Yeah. So anyway, just to get to the actual content that our people want to listen to, not just us talking about
I think
Taylor Swift for a while.
Plenty of people want to listen to Taylor
Maybe we should start a separate podcast about Taylor Swift. I can host and you can just talk about all your theories.
That's
and
our
all
next
the other jazz.
episode.
There, perfect. If you're into foster care stuff, maybe we'll build that in somehow. But I don't know.
And I mean, while we're at it, since she's doing her podcast debuts, Taylor Swift, if you're listening and you want to come talk about how
Yes.
you are the mother of the next generation,
You can go right here. Like this
Yeah.
is a spot for T Swift if you want
Yeah.
to join at Taylor Swift.
literally, she's raising the next generation, whether we like it or not. And I'd love to get her insight on it.
Oh, would love to have a conversation with her about that. That'd be sick. But anyway, we're coming off of our last episode. I think it was a great episode where we talked about the bond that siblings have
Yeah.
and how the majority of kids that come into foster care are part of a sibling group. They're not just by themselves; they're part of a larger sibling group. And we talked about just the detriments of breaking up those sibling groups and how important it is for continuity of life, for bonds of life, for relationship, for even our parenting side. You gave your hot take last week, just about the importance of keeping siblings together. And we encouraged our listeners that if you're thinking about foster care, think about the whole sibling group.
Yes.
Don't try to break them up. Do whatever you can to make it happen because I think it's worth it. We think it's worth it.
Yeah.
We're moving on to talk about, so that is a biological formation of relationship and bond that's there. Now, when a child is removed from their home, they have biological bonds with their family.
Yeah.
as
So
well.
I think we said, what was the percentage of kids that come into care with siblings?
it was over 50. It was 65 to 85%.
Yeah. 100% of kids that come into foster care come with biological parents.
Exactly. Come with biological parents, and not
Yes.
just biological parents,
Yes.
but aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa and nieces and nephews and cousins and all of those things that are all wrapped up into that. So we're going to answer the question, kind of talk about our experience a little bit today of a question that maybe all of the foster parents ask when they
Yeah.
get into the foster care game of, what does this look like for my life? How much interaction do I need to have with biological family, mom and dad? How to toe that line of what is healthy and what's not, how to fight for what's healthy in that as well, and how to somewhat trust the system also at the same time to do what they say they're going to do to keep the child safe as they can from any dangers that may come from biological family interaction.
Right.
So there's a lot to get to today, lot to get to today. But we've had a couple of experiences in the past with biological family. Now, our son, we'll talk about his case a little bit, but he is an only child. And so the only biological ties that he had was to his mom. And grandma, I would say a little bit too. But other than that, there were no aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, things of that nature that we know of. We just know of that relationship with mom. With our girls, completely different story. Completely different. We mentioned last episode that they are part of a larger sibling group. So there are 4 of them. We have 2, and another adoptive family has 2 of them. But they have tons of cousins and tons of aunts and tons of uncles and family friends and grandmas and there's so much relationship that's wrapped up. And what happens is when a child is removed, you have to, as a foster parent, decide in that moment, like, we are going to do our absolute best to do what is healthiest for our child, understanding our role, and figure out how to work the tension of the biological family.
Yeah. Now
interaction.
you're talking about in the foster care process here.
Correct.
Because I think we need to distinguish the foster care process versus if you are given the opportunity to adopt that child.
Sure. Yeah.
Because those are very different.
Can you talk a little bit about
relationships.
the difference there?
Yeah, I mean, when you're fostering a child, we've said this before, the primary goal of foster care is to reunify that child to its biological family.
Yes.
Biological parents first and foremost. If that is not healthy and can't be done, biological family, aunts, uncles, grandparents, whatever.
Exactly.
So in the foster care process, you have to constantly be thinking, like, how am I working with this family? How am I supporting this family? How am I supporting the system to get to that goal?
Yeah.
If that is what everybody has said is the appropriate goal.
Right. And maybe we could talk a little bit now about the foster family's role in the gigantic puzzle that is the system of foster care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
we like to maybe think that we have a larger role than we do sometimes.
I think so.
But I think that's just human nature.
Sure. Yeah.
But I also think at the same time that we play such a crucial and vital and important role in the life of a kid who comes into the system. So you got, the parties that are involved. You got the caseworker, you got the biological family, you have the court system, you have all of these things that are working to try to figure out what is going to happen next, right? And then you have the foster family who is called in to provide a safe, secure place, loving home for a kid who's been uprooted, upended, and life is now completely different for them.
Yeah.
And that is the role, in essence, of what we are playing, to do the best with the time that we have with them, right? I think that's the call of all foster parents, is to do the best with the time that you have with these kids, because you never know if it's going to be an infinite amount of time that you have with them, or a very small amount of time with them, right? So it's all, I think a lot of it's about the mindset going into it. So with that understanding of I'm playing this role here, you have a greater purpose also at the same time, because as a foster parent, you are trying your very hardest to make sure that healthy relationships stay in place. Because if the goal is reunification, they will eventually, some will eventually end up back in their place. Back
67%.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
And so if we are unwilling or have some sort of negative demeanor towards, or are talking to our foster children about how their parents are struggling or how bad their family is, or just being completely negative, we're going to set that child up for failure going back if it does happen, right?
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit about maybe the experiences that we've had with biological family and kind of your stance going into things. 'Cause sometimes I follow your lead on this because you're the professional and you're awesome.
Thank you.
and pretty and beautiful and all this. Okay. But other than those things, like you know the system very well. You worked in the system. So can you just kind of give your take on relationship with biological family and what has been your philosophy going into foster care?
Yeah, we call this co-parenting in the system. So if you go through it in training, or you get anywhere near the system, you'll hear people call it co-parenting.
Co-parenting. Can you describe that?
Yeah, co-parenting, like you're literally co-parenting with the biological parents. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Is that you are in some way, and it looks different depending on the situation, because every situation is different.
Right.
Every situation needs different types of boundaries, I think. But in some way, you are co-parenting with this biological parent. Now, you can have absolutely no contact with a biological parent, but still co-parent really well with them.
How do you do that?
So that looks like what you kind of mentioned and touched on earlier, of how are you talking to the child that's in your home throughout this process?
Yeah.
What's the language you're using with them? Is it very temporary language? Because that's really important. If you're talking to this child as if this is their permanent place for the rest of their lives,
it's going to be very confusing one day.
It's very confusing
if they end up going home. And that was our philosophy with our girls. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. So it's like, it depends on the language that you're using with this child. You can be super, super frustrated. Like, let's just paint this picture of the most dangerous biological parent that the world has ever seen. Like, literally Ted Bundy is the father of the foster child in your home, right? Like, like you're not gonna, which
Theodore
rarely ever happens, but you're not gonna want to work with that parent directly, obviously, for safety reasons.
Right.
But you can also protect that child from this really horrendous view of their parent.
Yeah.
And that is protecting them from trauma and from confusion. So you can like hate this parent at your core, right? Because we
dislike immensely, we'll call it
that.
But
you can hate when adults hurt children. I think there's a righteous anger in that.
100%.
But your child doesn't have to know. Like, the foster child in your home doesn't have to know.
Right.
That that's how you feel.
So not only are you a foster, you're not just a parent in that sense. You're a sponge as well. You're like a buffer to what the reality of life is. Now, I do think that there is a time and a place where those things can be discussed with a child if it comes to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, very delicately. Like,
Yes.
when you're talking about biological family of a child, that's their family. That is their stinking family.
Yeah.
And there needs to be respect and honor in just the essence of the fact that God ordained that mom and that dad to bring this child into the world, regardless of their actions.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, there's also tons of biological parents that are not like dangerous,
Right.
Like they're not a threat to you and your safety. They need help. They need support. They need resources. They need restoration. And what a really beautiful thing for us to be able to come alongside these parents in some way and support them and help them. And again, it doesn't require that you become best friends with these parents.
100%.
And, we've seen stories across the entire spectrum of parents that, maybe you're just writing a letter to these parents on visit days. Maybe some people set up email addresses, like you're just sending pictures once a week of this child to keep the parents updated.
Yeah.
All the way to, I've heard really wonderful stories, and this hasn't been our experience, but really beautiful stories of foster families that have these biological parents over for dinner once a week.
Or come to church with them on Sunday
They go to
mornings.
church together. Or it's like, it's a really nice thing to, when you have those situations, those biological parents can look at you and get resources and tips and advice from you.
Yeah. How wonderful would it be if you played a part in the reconciliation of a family? Am I right?
Yeah.
Like if you were just a single piece in an encouragement. And I think of even like you talking about the letters and the bringing to church and things of that nature. Like if I'm in that position and I'm seeing pictures of my kids, what more motivation in this world do I need than like, this is my motivation. Like I'm going to rehab. I'm going to finish my case plan. I'm going to do the things that are asked of me because I love my child. And this is my child. Like I get to see it right in front of me. Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times in our human nature, our default is to kind of think of it us versus them. And I've seen foster parents, and I've been in this situation. Like we're all human. I've seen us be like frustrated when a parent is trying to be involved in their child's life or like doing the right things, but maybe not all the way. Like they're doing their best to do the right thing. And sometimes there's like frustration in that from a foster parent's point of like, oh, they're doing this, or they're trying to contact their child here, or, and I want to like put a pause on those types of thoughts and feelings. And I've had to check myself in this a lot.
Yep.
Don't we want moms and dads that are fighting for their children? Don't we want moms and dads that want to be involved in their children's lives?
Yes.
Like, don't we want parents who want to love their children and who want their children?
Yeah.
And even if they're stuck in addiction, they are experiencing homelessness, they're making really bad relationship decisions, like mom is with a guy who she should not be with, like all these things, like don't at the core we still want parents that want their children?
I think so.
Right.
But again, it takes removing the human nature and the natural instinct that you have to protect and fight, right?
Of course, yeah.
Oh man, and that is an episode in and of itself.
Yeah, both two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
Like we can be at peace and okay and not like stress out and fight a parent that wants their child, but also still protect that child from that parent's addiction.
Yeah.
Like both things can be true at the same time.
Right.
And that's the balance that I think is a real challenge for us as human beings and foster parents to walk, is like, how do I protect this child and advocate for this child while also supporting and being excited for a biological parent who's trying to do the right thing, even if it looks really messy.
Right. And we've experienced just very different instances of interaction with biological family between the two cases that we've had in our home.
Yeah.
And we've also come to a place where we've said out loud, like, we cannot be the primary fighters for this process, right? Like,
Yeah.
and what I mean by that is at some point you have to trust investigators, you have to trust the system that they are doing their due diligence on their end to figure out what is healthiest and best for the child's future, right?
Yeah.
And so if you play the role of investigator, of caseworker, of prosecutor, of judge and jury, and all of those things, you're going to get exhausted
Yes.
and overwhelmed, and you are going to feel it every
Yes.
single
And you're going to
day.
piss people off.
Yeah,
gonna
right? They're going to be
make
like, what is this foster parent doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
stay in your lane, please, right? But it's that fight of that natural instinct of you see a child in your home who's broken and who's experienced loss. And then you look at the parent and you're like, why aren't you doing what you should be doing? Like you should be doing this and this and this, and you're not doing this. And I can't send this kid with you if you're going to be doing this and all this other stuff. And that is the natural human fight instinct that you want there. And so our philosophy, like we've kind of the question that we've posed for this is we are very pro co-parenting, co-involvement of biological family.
Yeah.
However, there's a big like but, if you will, there, comma. We've also experienced times where we've realized that communication and interaction that we could control as foster parents with biological family. Now, there's stuff that's in play with the court that they tell you like you have to have this with biological family. But instances where we could control it, where we've had to step back and say, is this the healthiest for our kids?
Right.
And we've had to take steps back to remove some of those moments when we realize that maybe the interactions that they're having with their biological family, the words that they're saying are not things that we kind of want them to experience and hear.
Right. Yeah. There's kind of two answers here that I would give if someone asked me. Well, people do ask, like, how do I co-parent? Like, what does it look like?
Please help.
How do I do it?
Right.
And including all of their fears and hesitancies and anxieties about it.
Yeah.
And I would say there's a textbook answer. And then there is my practical advice that I would give based off my experiences.
Right.
The textbook answer that you're going to learn in training, that you're going to hear from the professionals, so to speak, is co-parenting and supporting, being a support for that biological mom and dad is super important and like highly, highly encouraged.
Yes.
And I think at the beginning of this process, because I've been a social worker, I don't know, for like over a decade now, I've worked with addiction. I've worked with mental health issues. I've just worked in that space. I'm very comfortable in that space.
Yeah.
Those things don't like scare me necessarily. Right. So I think I just dove like into the deep end. I was like, oh, I can totally co-parent this stuff. Like I was like
in the bag.
Yeah. I was like, this is not a problem for me at all.
Right.
And I learned that working, this is an obvious duh, like working with that stuff in a professional environment is a lot different than when you're doing it personally.
Right. And you're opening up your family.
And you're opening your family with it, and you are personally investing like I just keep saying personal, but like personal energy into those relationships.
Yeah, there's a vulnerability there.
Yeah. So the textbook answer is co-parenting is so important, and you should totally do it if it's safe and possible for the situation. My like actual advice for this that I tell parents based on our experience is go really, really slow. Like do it, but go really slow. I think I made the mistake of jumping in, then realizing what the issues were. And then I had to put up boundaries and like I had to pull back.
Yep.
And to do that to any human being
tough.
Is hard. Like, and especially doing it to a person who is struggling with addiction, who does struggle with relationship, who does struggle with healthy coping mechanisms, like to all of a sudden pull back what they thought they had as a support is really, really difficult.
Right.
And I believe that on some of those occasions, like me having to pull back and set hard boundaries was part of the reason that there was like frustration and anger and like created a tough relationship there because
now there's not just the argument over the baseline thing of seeing my kid.
Yeah.
It's like the argument about now the boundaries instated.
There's boundaries there that you didn't have those boundaries before,
right.
and now you're putting boundaries in for me.
Yep.
And like that's a hard thing for people to hear. So
in any sense, in any instance,
yeah.
right?
And so my advice from that experience that I've learned is it's okay to start with a lot of boundaries at first. Start slow.
Yeah.
Because people are going to put their best foot forward in any situation,
right,
including biological families. And it just takes time to get to know someone.
Right.
So I would suggest very practically things like writing letters, sending letters, or a journal with the kids on visits. If you want, I would even say creating a Google number or some type of email address is even a little more intimate because that is coming directly to your phone. It's coming directly to your email inbox. But my advice in those things is like, encourage that parent. Hey, we're praying for you. I want the best for you. Your child's in a safe home. Here's some of the things that I have found here she likes in our home that they're enjoying. Like, you can create a really positive interaction without actually establishing a close relationship with that person.
100%.
Until you get to know the case, you get to know that parent more, you get to see what's going on, and then
their tendencies,
and
you can make an educated, based on the facts of like, what's my next step here?
Yes.
Like making the next step instead of giving them all the steps at the same time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say like having tight boundaries at the beginning with an attitude of, I still want to support you.
Yeah.
And I still care deeply for you and your child.
Because no matter what they've done, they are still a human being. And we believe there's value in life of just being a human being.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not boundaries of like, you can't come anywhere near me because I don't trust you.
Right.
It's boundaries of like, hey, this is just I'm protecting me and my family while also getting to know you. And then as time goes on, like months and months and months.
Yeah, not right off the bat.
Right.
And that's I feel like that's kind of not the mistake that we made, but just what caused a lot more headache was being the fire hydrant of information to biological family right off the top.
Yeah.
And when we took in the girls, it was a little bit different also because it was COVID. And so the court, when a child enters the system, there is a process and a play that's put in place by the court. Now there are situations where it's not safe for kids to be around parents.
Sure.
And so any physical contact, in-person visits and things of that nature are probably out the window in those cases. But the majority of the cases, it is ordered by a court that these kids have to be seen or get to see.
The parents have the right to visit
They have a right
child.
to see their kid, right? Their biological. So there's parameters put in place. And so those are the things that you as a foster parent cannot control. Like those are going to happen regardless of whether you want them to happen or not.
Right.
I mean, you can fight it all you want, but they're still going to have access to their parents. Their parents are still going to have access to them.
You shouldn't fight that.
Correct.
Like, let's just be clear. Like, there are things on the case that you can advocate for and fight for. A parent seeing their child should probably never be a thing that you are fighting against.
Yeah. And so those are the things that are automatically going to happen. Those are the interactions that you can't control.
Yeah.
We're talking about the extra stuff, like the text messages. And I think that's one of the things that I would go back and change maybe right off the bat. It's like, maybe we shouldn't have just given out our phone number and texted and allowed to make personal calls. But you get to that point of you're like, I just want them to be able to say goodnight to their kid.
Yeah, of
you
course.
feel it as a parent. You're like, I just want them to be able to give a hug through the phone and do all these things. And so, I mean, it's a hard tension to wrestle with on either side of wanting them to have access and giving them access, but also at the same time, if you have the exact opposite mindset and you're angry with them, not wanting them to have access.
Yes.
So you're trying to find that sweet spot. And that's why you said start slow.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that you can do. Start slow and then see what opportunities arise from that starting slow, and give it some time to figure out what is actually healthy for a kid and what's healthy for our family as a foster family, and what's healthy for the parents as well.
Yeah.
And I think what I would like to do is I would like to make this a 2-part episode.
Okay.
So our next week's episode, we'll talk a little bit more about the nitty gritty of biological parents' interactions, things that we've even seen in our home from having those interactions, and what you can expect from your child when they come home from a visit with mom, dad, uncle, aunt, all those things. And I like to make this a 2-part episode. But today we talked about, it's going to happen. Your mindset and the posture of your heart matters so deeply.
Yes.
And that care for the child has to be also care for the biological family as well. And understanding, and this is why it's so important. And I think that the spiritual plays such a big part in this, because if you understand, like for us as Christ followers and Christians in this game, we understand that we've made mistakes. They might not be to the level of some of these biological parents, but we are all broken people in need of grace and in need of a savior. And that is a heartbreaking thing. And when that sin and the consequences in this physical world come about where you're losing your child, man, you've got to have some sort of pity, but also grace with that as well, understanding that you've been given grace as well. So man, it's all about your mind. It's all about your heart. It's all about starting slow. And we will talk a little bit more next week on part 2 of this episode, how to interact with biological families. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. This has been Matt
And Lainey.
and we will see you part 2 next week.